from here, okay? Immediately.
Okay. Stream is on. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Foti from QPlayLearn, and we are very happy to be here for the launch event of the third of the quantum pills that will be about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. The quantum pills are our animation series produced in collaboration produced by QPlayLearn in collaboration with VIS, Virtual Immersion in Science, a company based in Pisa devoted to excellent scientific outreach. And the third pill has been sponsored by Algorithmic, startup that is devoted to doing algorithms for running on near-term quantum devices for revolutionizing the life sciences. And Sabrina Maniscalco is the CEO of Algorithmic, and she's also part of the team that has collaborated to the production of the pill. So, ciao Sabrina.
Ciao.
And today we have two very special guests to comment the pill with us, that are Alberto Di Meglio, the head of the Quantum Initiative at CERN, and Chiara De Caroli, the Quantum and Engagement, also Quantum, but the Outreach and Engagement Officer at the National Quantum Computing Center of the UK. Ciao Chiara, ciao Alberto.
Hi everyone.
Hi,
and then I'm very happy to have here all the team that has participated to the production of the pill. So from the scientific part, Professor Paola Verrucchi from Florence. Ciao Paola. And Professor Marilu Chiofalo from Pisa.
Ciao everyone.
And Professor Sabrina Maniscalco and me from Helsinki. And then we have, last but not least, Matias Guerra and Marcos Valdez from VIS. And I'm not sure, are you based in Pisa at the moment?
Yes, correct.
Both of you, okay, so ciao. And then Rosario Maniscalco and Boris Sokolov that will help us with the technical side, also part of the QPlayLearn team. Ciao Rosario, ciao Boris, thank you for your support.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, but let's start with the pill. So, Boris, please, if you can share the video. Mm-hmm.
In the wondrous world of microscopic particles, there are pairs of physical quantities that enjoy playing a trick on us. The more we try to find out about one, the less we know about the other. This trick is known as the uncertainty principle, proposed by German physicist Werner Karl Heisenberg in 1927. It injects an uncertainty into quantum theory. At the reception of the just entangled Alice and Bob Cooper, the wedding planner is checking where all the quantum guests are. She sees that when the position of a guest is clear on the map, the velocity is undetermined. If instead the velocity is defined, the position is not. This is because of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. In simple mathematical terms, an inequality in which the product of two numbers is always greater than a third. To get a deeper insight of this amazing feature of the quantum world, let's go meet one of the most eccentric wedding guests, Alice's Uncle Werner, who is late as usual, still at home, choosing what to wear. Werner wears colourful boots and patterned socks, and always tries to wear them equally. When Werner chooses to wear 3 boots of the same colour, by experimental measurement, we can be 100% certain about Werner's favourite colour today. While the underlying sock pattern will remain totally uncertain. If instead Werner chooses boots of 2 different colours, while we are now less certain about the boot colour preference, it might happen that 2 sock patterns are the same, and therefore we can have an insight into Werner's socks preference. By knowing a little less about the boot's colour, we get a peek at the sock. The 2 actions, wear a sock and wear a boot, are incompatible, which means that if performed in a different order, the end result is different. In mathematical terms, their commutator is not 0. This applies to several physical quantities. These commutators give rise to the uncertainty principle. Some consider Heisenberg's uncertainty principle to be a limit. Rather, it reminds us about the many possibilities provided by nature, beyond our narrow macroscopic point of view. In fact, we wouldn't be here without this uncertainty, the fundamental property that explains how alpha decay works, why atoms don't implode, and how, extraordinarily, the vacuum is not empty after all.
Okay, and this was the Heisenberg uncertainty principle pill. So I see that everyone here is very happy, but because we have a lot of fun in producing this pill and inventing all the scenario and the characters. But first of introducing some bias from the production team, I would like to give the scene to Alberta and Chiara for some comments about the pill. So the stage is yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Katerina. First of all, I have to say I really love the main character of the video, Uncle Werner. And I also really like the sounds in the background. I think it's extremely, really takes you in. I think the way that you guys have approached the topic of uncertainty is very special. I think it's fairly unique compared to other ways of doing this, in the sense that you guys went really at the fundamental core of uncertainty, which is really a property of quantum mechanics. And it's really stemming from this aspect that you show so well, when Werner puts on a boot or a sock, and in which order. And so if you put first the sock and then the boot, like we all do, then the result we know makes sense. But if you put them in the other sense, so if you put first the boot and then the sock, it's quite strange. It's a completely different result. And this really means that these 2 things, the boot and the sock, are incompatible. And that's where in quantum physics, that's where then we end up with uncertainty in these 2 different observables. So I just want to say, I think that's really great that you took this approach of going very, very deep on the fundamental core before going towards actual physical examples like the usual uncertainty between the position and the momentum of a specific particle. I'll finish here and let Alberto say a few words as well.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chiara. Thanks.
I had a very similar reaction. So the pill is very well done. I mean, from an attention attracting point of view, it's well done. I mean, you don't get the risk of being distracted until the end. It can be followed very well. What I like very much is indeed that it doesn't stay at the phenomenological aspect, if you want. I can measure this or that. Then it tries to enter a bit more into the actual formal understanding of why that is the case. But I can tell you. So I have 2 kids, and they are in the right target audience for this kind of pills. So I use them as beta testers.
Great.
That was very interesting, because I mean there were two reactions. The first reaction was that now they have the scientific proof that wearing a mismatched socks is not a problem. Okay, so you have undone years of education. The other interesting thing is indeed that they didn't have this feeling. Okay, now I understand the Heisenberg principle, because I know that I can measure one or the other. Until the end, so they ended up with questions, and that was very interesting for me. So it's not just about the principle itself, but they started asking, what is alpha decay, or how is it possible that vacuum is not vacuum? So I mean, it kept the thing running in their head, which I think is an excellent way of stimulating further curiosity and more creating knowledge for themselves. So I think was a very nice effect.
Wow, great. So mission accomplished, I would say. Thank you. Thank you both. I swear that we just asked the feedback, not a super positive one, Chiara and Alberto did. So they were free of commenting.
Absolutely. That was easy.
But thank you very much. And so I have 2 questions for you that are, one, I would like to start from if and why, according to you, is relevant to do scientific outreach in general, and in particular nowadays doing outreach about quantum science and quantum technologies. So if you can share with us your opinion and maybe also your experience, because you're both part of teams that are also working in this direction.
Alberta, I start. So from my perspective, I really believe that science communication and outreach are incredibly, incredibly important and fundamental. And I think we've all had the proof of this in the last 2 years throughout the COVID pandemic, and the way that science was communicated in that realm. And so I really think that as scientists, we have a duty and a responsibility to be able to reach out to the rest of society in telling them what we're working on, why we're working on it, and what is the impact on the society of what we're doing. And if we just have scientists in isolation working on their nerdy stuff, and the rest of society that just maybe uses the products that stem out of it, I think we're losing the link between these 2 spheres. And so I really think that the roles of science communicators and the roles of people working in outreach is so important and so fundamental for keeping this link alive, and for letting science be in touch with society more.
Alberto.
I mean, of course. I mean, I can all agree. I mean, it's especially. I mean, CERN works, on multi-generational projects. If you want to do some, this kind of international collaborations on particle physics, it is really important to create a sort of a sustainability in the future generations of researchers. So it is fundamental for us really to understand how to communicate why we are doing this, because of course there are topics that are very critical and very, if you want very easy to understand in the real world, the medical research, etc. It's easy to communicate why certain research has an impact. For physics, for fundamental science, that is a bit less direct. So explaining, how, not only the value of fundamental science per se, but what it means, the impact, the technology that derives from that is absolutely fundamental, is very, very important. We have a number of programs at CERN to do this, and in particular, the Quantum Technology Initiative has an education program. And we see this every day, not only to educate researchers, because these are difficult concepts. We have very senior researchers that never worked. They might know quantum mechanics, but quantum technology is not just quantum mechanics. And trying to understand, for example, how algorithms have to be transformed and changed in order to use quantum computers is a complete change of mind. They have the basics, but getting there is another matter. And those are senior researchers. But this has to start really from very, very early age, from even primary school, if you want, but certainly secondary school, and creating this awareness very early and explaining that, yes, it's difficult, but you can get there. And there are ways of doing this. So there are these kind of education tools, and you can grow your knowledge until you get there. This is absolutely critical, especially, and if you allow me 30 more seconds, I think the important thing is, we know all about the digital divide. The problem is with the, as this concept becomes more and more difficult, the risk is introducing even more divide, a quantum divide, in terms of knowledge, in terms of resources. Not everybody has the same opportunity. So creating programs, especially online tools and reachable and accessible tools that allow everybody to get to the resources they need is absolutely fundamental. So I'm fully supportive of all these kind of initiatives.
Okay, and then I would also, partially Alberto already, you touched already these points, but which are the challenges, which are, according to your opinion, the challenges that we have to face when we try to convey the quantum physics concepts to non-experts and quantum technologies also to non-experts?
So I guess we follow the same pattern.
Or maybe this time we can adhere to the order. Maybe Alberto can start at Chiara. And for this question, I would also like to have the opinion of the rest of the team. And for you, maybe I would like to ask you about the Heisenberg pills. So which were the main challenges that we had to face when producing the pill? Okay, but we start from Alberto and Chiara so that you can maybe think about an answer meanwhile.
So if you want, for me, the main challenge is really that these kind of concepts are sometimes counterintuitive. They don't match with our day-to-day macroscopic world experience. So explaining this, it's at younger age is not that straightforward. So indeed, the main challenge for me is, and I think you're doing an excellent job in this, is to translate this concept in something that resembles as closely as possible what happens in the microscopic world, but using macroscopic concepts. And it is important to stimulate the curiosity. Of course, it's different. It's not really there when you really study physics and understand that there is more. But creating this curiosity to get there, it's very important. It has to start really with this kind of translation between what happens there and what happens here in these different worlds.
Yeah, just to continue, I completely agree with Alberto, and I think quantum physics is a bit of a double-edged sword. So on one side, it's so weird and interesting and fascinating, and this really, I think, attracts people towards it, also general public, but also younger students and so on. But at the same time, the fact that they're so strange and unintuitive for us and unusual for us is what then kind of hinders a bit the actually grasping what it means. And I think they're really coming up, like Alberto was saying, coming up with metaphors, analogies that connect with the real world, but still are, genuine, that they're correct in their physical understanding. I think it's the most challenging aspect of it. And there's always also a question, a bit of a challenge question I have in my mind, that this people would say, everyone uses a phone, a computer every day, and many people have no idea of how these things work. So why should they try to understand how a quantum computer works, or quantum technologies more broadly? And I think there, at least to me, the answer is that we don't just want to explain how a specific devices work, the specific device works, but we just want the people to ask the questions. Like, we want the people to have the curiosity to go around, look at things and think, oh, I wonder how this thing works and why. So that's a bit of a more general point, I guess. But I think definitely we have many challenges in explaining quantum that are tough. Yeah.
Okay, so anyone that wants to jump in the conversation?
Well, if I can, from the production,
passing by. Okay.
I can give a bit of a backstage from the production point of view of the challenges of producing such a pill, such a video. And I have to say it was really challenging, because as Caterina, Sabrina, Marilu know very well, and also Paola, we had to weigh every word. It was like really lavoro certosino. I don't know how to say that in English, but really every single word was considered and weighted very carefully, but also the visuals and the music. So it all has to come together. But I have to say it was really fun, and it was really a pleasure to work on the Heisenberg pill with the team in Finland, and of course, well, we also have to acknowledge the great work from the animation team. So all the ATT staff that was involved, and well, some of them are mentioned in credits: Adriana Ferrari and Fede Basso, and especially Marco Lucente, that for a couple of months became our, like I saw him more than my fiance at the time. So. So yeah, but it's really a pleasure to work together on this project.
Same here. And Paola, Marilu, do you want to add something to this challenges that we have to face, or relevance that you think are particularly true in the case of quantum outreach and so our job, let's say? You can choose if about the quantum pill, about Heisenberg, or if you prefer to talk from the general point of view, as you prefer.
No, well, I can maybe add a couple of challenges. One goes along the considerations that Chiara made at the beginning, and actually I'd like to thank Chiara and Alberto for the really wonderful job in spotting and trying to understanding what the challenge that we put in this quantum pill, and it is about the challenge that we posed ourselves in this case, that was not posed in the same manner for the previous pills that I remember are about quantum physics and entanglement, meaning to put here also the math. So what we did was to put the math of the commutators, as Chiara was noticing, and this was not at all an easy thing to be done. And actually, it is something that is now pushing ourselves to do the same also with the next quantum pills. And what is important in solving this challenge is that these quantum pills, is true that are for outreach purposes. But in fact, as we are commenting and discussing also within the pilot on quantum technologies education for everyone within the quantum flagship that we are conducting and running, These kind of outreach products and deliverables are very important also in education, because they are important in the first step of education, that is about engaging whoever, can also be students who do have math formalism and math language in their hands. But anyway, this kind of products like the quantum pill on Heisenberg principle, made in this manner, can really provide, as also Alberto was saying, additional insights and a different perspective on how to look at things, and be engaged at the level that eventually you want to know more, either adding more math, or, as Alberto was saying, knowing about why vacuum is involved in this, and so on and so forth. And then the second and last challenge that is in my, has been, at least for me. Sorry, Kate?
No, I think I have some problems of connection, but apparently it's just me. So sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
Okay, and the second challenge has been, I mean, just for laughing, I mean, it has been to put a stop on our creative work, because as you can imagine, we had a lot of fun. I cannot even tell you what came along and came about in our fantastic WhatsApp chat with Paola, Sab, and Kate, and what the kind of stuff that came into. And so at some point we had to stop because we had to finish the quantum pill, but we would have gone forever.
Yeah, but indeed, the path to Uncle Werner was very funny.
Yeah, I mean, how to create Uncle Werner, how eventually Uncle Werner came about to be a tripod instead of a millipede, and other stuff. I think it's worth to be considered.
You should create
So, Paola, now it's your
version with the bloopers, you know, when you have a movie, you know, you have all the mistakes and errors made by actors, so they become very funny, so you can create an alternative reality. You know? By the way,
I don't know, Kate, whether we should say this, but we had, since we want to put also some gender, questions and issues in to make also a cultural, a more broad cultural event. So I think that the way Uncle Werner is made also reflects this. Yeah. This is just a hint.
So, Mari, you cannot spoiler and reveal all our hidden Easter eggs, because we put so much effort in creating all these layers of hidden messages. So recheck the field and find them out. But Paola, now I would like your comments on quantum outreach, quantum literacy, and also the field, if you prefer.
Well, you've already said most of the relevant things, but I just want to add one point that has been somehow already touched, which is the fact that it is really important to have different layers or different levels. So I like to think about at least 3 levels, and the first one, the lower, if you want, lower not for the importance, but just for the kind of formalism which is involved, is actually one of the most relevant, because I think that when we think about quantum mechanics to the society, is not just because of a need of understanding what's going on and so on and so forth, but is also, or perhaps mainly, because you really have to change a way of thinking. Each revolution, I mean, each scientific revolution, I always like to think about Galileo. You know, you see this big ball of light that goes around every single day from left to right, every single day. And it's so natural to think that that is a ball that is turning around you and you are in the middle. And then you have this, you know, this scientific revolution saying, no, it's you that you are turning, and not even around the ball, but just around yourself. And that is the reason why. And I mean, the message that this revolution brings to people is not about the sun, it's not about the universe, it's not about the stars, it's about the way you think about yourself and the rest of the world and the universe. And quantum does exactly the same thing. So at the lower level, the level which is, you know, devoted to all the people, even those who know nothing, the kind of message that you bring should be really the revolutionary one. Then, I mean, also the other levels are very important. Nothing to say about it. They are absolutely relevant. But this lower level is the one where you really hit the most majority of people who are listening to you. So, for instance, getting back to the pill, we wanted to convey this idea that different action can, you know, this idea of non-commutativity, of doing things in different orders. Because again, this is somehow a fundamental concept. So I think that quantum revolution, I mean, quantum mechanics is really a revolution in logics, in the way we set ourselves into this world and we think about all the world that is around us. And so it's really important to remember that we have to start from this lower level and also have all the others well structured, so that if you want to go in a more precise way, in a more formal way, you have already the elements, the ingredients for doing it. But, you know, talking about quantum mechanics, after all, it's talking about something that has completely changed our way of thinking about the world. And I think this is really the big challenge. Sorry, I mean, I'm always quite enthusiastic about this, but I think.
But I think your enthusiasm is, I mean, everyone's enthusiasm, but Paula, also your enthusiasm is really evident, and we like it a lot.
Yeah, if I can add something to this.
Yes, sure. Actually, Matthias, I was about to ask you, because surrounded by all these quantum physicists and physicists, which is, I mean, your point of view here.
Yeah, I mean, when we were working on this, what Paula just said is basically how we approached, for example, with the music. I work with this really good musician called Matteo Nobile, and we said, okay, we have socks and we have boots, and you can either put them this way or that way. How does that convey music? So we decided, okay, let's go with a Prometheus chord. It's called like that because of the Russian composer Alexander Scriabin, no? And according how you play this chord, it's also called the mystical chord, okay? So things can be different in a harmony. It really can change the piece, and it's really difficult to place it. It's something that, and the pill is based on this chord, and it changes a lot, and it's something we to say about the layers. We spend a lot of time trying to find the right sounds, trying to find the right rhythm. And with this chord, the fact that I wrote it down because I found it amazing that Scriabin said, this chord is there to reveal the otherness. And this thing with this type of work, and this is the type of work I think you all do, which is, you know, I mean, we just give the chord, and this is the everything. You're trying to find what is there, the everything, and put it all together. So we found it, was the best way to, you know, go along with our little music, but, you know, I thought it was pretty good.
Thank you very much. But I mean, the music is really part, is not in the background, you know, as Karen and Alberto actually knows, it's really something that is intrinsically part of the field. So thank you a lot to you and to all the creative team, really. And then maybe, okay, we are about to finish. I would like to call Sabrina now, and maybe you can tell us something also from Algorithmic, who again sponsored this pill about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
First of all, I have to thank all of you, because I think the combination of all these voices summarizes perfectly what is also what we want to achieve, even with Algorithmic, but in general with our work. And I would like to really summarize, stressing again three things that you said. And the first thing is the time it takes to do things well, because definitely it is something that, especially I think for outreach and for outreach in quantum physics, one cannot stress enough. It takes time, it takes effort, and it has to be done well, and it has to be taught a lot, and it leads to a lot of discussion and a lot of rethinking also for us scientists. So time, for sure. The second one, obviously, is passion, because you need to have passion for these things in order to convey them to the others. Without passion, I think this pill, and I'm not talking just about the team, I'm talking about, you know, all of us who created this, but hopefully what we can convey also to the public. So this is the other important thing. And the third thing, I forgot completely. I know I always knew it, because when I say I have 3 things to say, I always forget the third one. But I think that the time it takes and the passion for this. I found it again. It is finding your own voice, finding your own way of telling these stories is crucial. An original way, a way that in a way comes from the collaboration with the team, but it also puts things in a different light. I mean, finds a way which is original, not just closer to what is the true physical meaning. You were talking about incompatibility and commutator, whatever, all these concepts, but also the visual side, the music side is the voice that I think we are starting to create all together, in particular with the quantum pills, but I hope with all of you, and I know actually with all of you, in our attempts to communicate quantum science and technologies to everyone. So thank you again.
Great. So I think we have the last couple of minutes. So if you want to talk, do it now and super quickly. And otherwise, I would like to thank everyone. So Rosario and Boris, thank you so much for the technical support. And then also thanks to the whole team. So Marcos and Macias, Marilu, Paola and Sabrina, and the super biggest thanks to Chiara and Alberto. And Alberto, please, thanks your kids from our side.
Yes.
We will involve them also
The
for
beta
the
testers.
next bills, next round.
They would like it, yes.
Share the quantum pill to everyone and enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye bye. Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.